Today is the sixth Sunday in Ordinary Time. The Gospel text is Matthew chapter 5, verses 17 through 28. We continue the Sermon on the Mount. In today's text specifically, Jesus speaks as the prophet. He's well within the prophetic tradition when he says to the disciples, unless your righteousness goes deeper, exceeds that of the scribes and the Pharisees, you'll not enter the kingdom. There are two major themes in the prophetic tradition. One, it reminds the people of the covenant, God's promises, God's intent, God's love, God's care. The other theme is it reminds the people of the huge capacity we human beings have to deceive ourselves, to be forgetful, to miss the point. Part of this can be the way we use religion and devotion. The prophets were well aware of the people's potential, especially the leaders of the people, to use religious ritual and devotion and law to mask a life that is actually at odds with the covenant. Listen to the words of Amos. I despise your festivals. I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. But let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. The other side of the other stream in the prophetic tradition, that is emphasizing God's goodness rather than calling the people back, the two go hand in hand, is seen in a beautiful passage from Ezekiel. Ezekiel says, a new heart I will give you, and a new spirit I will put within you. I will remove from your body the heart of stone. I will give you a heart of flesh. Jesus combines these two themes. One, a reminder of the covenant and God's love and care, and God's intent and God's promise. And secondly, the need for us to constantly remember, constantly take note of our distractions, our forgetfulness, which close us off to the love of God. That's the key. Now, in this context, Jesus mentions anger and lust. In more than 50 years as a priest, I don't think there's a part of the scriptures that's been more badly treated than this. Within our Catholic tradition, we've tended to assume, on the basis of this text and maybe other thoughts too, anger is bad, sexual desire is bad. These must be fought off whenever they emerge. I think it's a wrong interpretation of Jesus' teaching, and I think its effects are very destructive, have been destructive. When Jesus talks about murder and anger as incomparable things, he adds words like insult and fool. And when he talks about sexual desire, he's talking about lust in the heart. In both instances, the emotion is not the issue. The moral intent is the issue. What's clearly at issue in both examples is the issue of the violation of relationships. The angry person. This is like murder in the heart. The moral intent is to kill, even if you don't kill. Lust is the moral intent is to use a person, use a woman for your self-gratification, and indeed violate the marital bond. The issue is not the emotion. The issue is the moral intent. And the nub of the matter is violation of relationship, of the community, of the call to unity in the covenant. of God's love. There's a lot at stake here. It seems to me that if we start with the notion that the emotions are bad, emotions of anger and sexual desire are bad, this leads to conflict inevitably. The conflict promotes or necessitates repression and suppression. These in turn can lead to serious issues of anxiety and depression, to say nothing of dysfunctional behaviors. This is hardly in service of the Christ life, of the well-being we should know because we are baptized into Christ. We are made in God's image and likeness, which actually gives us the starting point. Our conviction is that our emotions are part of the package, if you like. God created us in love, created us with emotion. The potential to engage people, events, and things with delight, with joy. Yes, in terms of sexual desire, and indeed in terms of anger. Again, it's the moral intent. Where is that headed? What sort of behavior? Here's a little exercise or strategy that you might try to break free of that tendency to think that because anger comes to mind, you've got to fight it, or because sexual desire emerges, you've got to struggle to beat it. When an emotion emerges, or a thought, or an image, or an inclination, instead of fighting it, give God thanks for it. It is a gift. It's a promise, not threat. Start a litany of thanksgiving. Thank you, dear Lord, for this feeling of anger, for this feeling of sexual desire. Thank you. Thank you for women. Thank you for men. Thank you for today. Thank you for my life. Thank you for the sun in the sky, trees in the park, the food on my table, the clothes on my back. Thank you, thank you. You will have moved from a temptation, supposedly, to a prayer. You'll find yourself in a grateful mood. Gratitude begets joy. You'll also find yourself in the presence of God, who loves you dearly, rather than simply jammed in your own inner conflict. Give thanks.